Alright, so we are back, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be attempting to complete the plugin with all the different features that were planned. Just going to give you a refresher on what those features are. So, planned features. So actually I need to fix this. No, wait, we're on the master, that's why. Let's go to the working branch. Here we go. So the last planned features are optional feature to restrict classes to genders, optional feature to create non-level based requirements, and to allow them to be used for equipment or items or something like that, and then supporting classes that don't have any requirements. So I'll just have to check this and see if it actually works or not. If not, then we'll need to make some changes. But thanks for tuning in. This is GeoWill, and we shall get right to this stuff. Let's go ahead and start with these first two, because we're going to need to do the same kind of thing for both, but they'll require the most changes to the code, and we'll do them both at once, kind of. So, the idea behind those two requirements, well, the second requirement is that, let's say you want to have a let's say you're not really interested in doing like a class tree based on classes. So like instead of having a tree like what I have here, I don't have it open, but like instead of having novice and fighter, then whatever, you have some classes, and then you have maybe more powerful classes, or maybe some sort of kind of cursed item or something that forces you to become a certain class when you equip the item, or allows you to become a certain class when you have an item equipped. So what'll probably happen is that what I'll say is that when you equip the item, the next time you try and change the class, you'll be forced to pick either stay the class you are, or to pick that specific class that they are generated for. So what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to enhance the note tags, note tag code thing from up here. And we're also going to have to add some note tags to, or no, we're also going to have to add, we'll have to add note tags to the characters as well, the actors. So we have to identify which actors are male and female, and then we have to, in the class note tags, one, add we'll have to do is two things. We'll have to add a third parameter to the note tags, and then the second thing is we'll have to add, well, maybe the third parameter will work for everything. So here's what this is what I had in mind when I was thinking about this the other day. So let's close all this stuff. Classes. So let's say we have the warrior here. Actually, let's say that. Let's say we have let's just make a new class, just for like a test. Load some more here. So let's create like a dancer class or something. I'll see everything else the way it is. So over in the note tags, we do the requirements. Now, instead of just saying, 110 or novice 10, in front of it, we're going to say class 110. Now, let's say that we want to not only have the novice be a requirement for it, but we also want to say you have to have a particular item to change to it. So, like, maybe say some sort of item that would be specific to you like get it from somewhere. Like, think about Bravely Default, where you have asterisks that you get from defeating the bosses, that kind of thing. So once you get the item and you have the particular class levels, so you can combine them, then you can change to the class. Or we could just say, okay, we don't want to do this. So first, let's go create the item. Let's see. Let's call it just some random name. I don't know. So dancer shoes. We'll go ahead and give it a icon and say a special item that allows this is a key item, not consumable, not worth anything, and we'll set scope in that to none and this to never. Okay. So this is item 34. So we'll go over to our classes, and then we'll say requirements, item 34, and then the number of items you want. So we'll say 1. Actually, we won't say the number of items, just the item. So, there's a typo somewhere. Or no, we have a slash here. That's right. Requirements. I think that's spelled correctly. Anyway, so we have our tag here now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to handle different types of things in these tags. So what we're going to do now is over here, find that code. There we go. Alright, so this is going to have more than one thing now, so we have to handle all of these together. So first thing we have to say is if rec data 0 equals class I'm going to change this to class rex. So if class rex, item rex, equip rex, what else can we do? Gender rex, I guess. All right. So let's also consider how we want to order this data. Oh, crap. So I guess we could do this one of two ways. We could do an object for every requirement, or we could try and load them all into the same. Now, it'd be way more complicated to do it as one, but it'd be less, less object arrays floating around. It would also make it easier, though. It'd be more complicated, but it would also be easier to handle because you wouldn't have to do all this different checking. Or what we can do is we can, yeah. So if we did this way, every class would have to have the same information. So if a class only has class requirements, we would still have to have an empty item rex, empty equipment rex, and empty gender rex element for that, so that it would be the number of elements would be equal. No, I think we'll try it with just all of them in one, and what we'll do is we'll kind of build the thing so that it'll build it up so that it'll be a little more easy to deal with. We'll still square requirements then. All right, change these back. Because there are really requirements for a class, so they all really would fit into the same thing. It's just a matter of sorting it correctly. All right, so the first thing we'll check is the gender. Else if rec data 0 equals so do we do class or item next? So whether it's an item, well, no, we'll have to do these separately within there. So what happens is that every one of these will have a gender, an item, an equipment, and a class object. All these class requirement objects will have those objects within them, and that'll have the data for them. Or it won't. So the thing is with this now is we still have, one class object, one class requirement object with the requirements in them, but they don't necessarily have all the requirements in them, so we don't have to worry about handling them all differently and shuffling them around and creating blank objects to make sure all the things line up correctly. But we need to make sure that we identify the because, well, it wouldn't even be equipment, because equipment is broken down into accessories, armor, and weapons. No, accessories are items. So armor, weapons, these are both equipment, and then items, period. Alright, so we'd have to have 3 for these then. So classes, items, weapons, armor, items, weapons, armor, and then classes. So gender, item. Let's do this to be faster. Typing it out every time. Weapon. Armor. And then class. Okay. So now we need var temp rec, because we need to create objects to stuff into this object. So temp rex Alright, so first, okay, no, we have the 0, which is the, okay, here's what we need to do then. So this needs to be type, and then rec data 0. And we'll be doing a % on that. And that's going to be a, then temp rec. So this is class, so we're going to have then, this one will be the %. Rec data 1 equals rec data 2. Alright, so set up the object type, in this case class, parse the the class ID to an int, and set val to the level. Okay. So now for these, genders, so. And then, recs. So let me see. Can we do just a push on this? So JavaScript. Okay, let's just push. It's not really an array, though. Object of arrays. Array of objects or object of arrays. Okay, JavaScript, object push. Well, JSON object push. Index data. So what if we turn these into arrays then? So an array of objects instead of an object of objects. It might cause problems later on, but we can work on that. Where is that? Defined it. Oh, there. We'll have to change this too. Object ID, so class ID. So this will need to change too because, well, no, it won't, because this ID is the ID for the class. And these are the requirements for that class. Okay, that part still is fine. That means this doesn't need to change. Yeah. So we have the class, and then we're pulling out the keys. And we're checking out key length is... Okay, we're just pulling out the IDs. So that's all we're doing with this sysclass list. That's fine. So... Right. Well, actually, this needs to be an object. This can be an array of objects. And then we have the object ID, which is the key, and then the value to that key is the Rex array, which is filled with objects. Okay. That could work. Push temprex. Alright. So what happens, we'll go down each of these, and we'll create a new object in temprex. Then we'll push that object into Rex, and then we'll add that object as the value to the class ID key and the class rec JSON. So for gender, well, first we need to also then temp Rex equals redefine it, undefine it, whatever. I have to reset it. So temp Rex type equals rec data 1. Or, well, no. Gender rec data 0. And then temp rex So, really quick though, I'm going to take this code. So I just want to throw this into, like, say, JS Fiddle or something, and I want to test it out. Alright, so JavaScript. Alright. So first, let's say that group contains, so group var group equals so correct. Actually, it should be double, I think. So first thing is going to be an ID. Well, it'll actually be an integer ID. In this case, we're going to be splitting it on, not on the returns, but on commas, so put that there. Or no, I guess we could leave it that way. So the first one is the ID, and then note data.forEach. So split dot object dot note. So it would have a wait, where's all? Is that all? That's not all the code. And bring over the other part of it, I guess. Object ID. So I guess this is like a 3-level object then. So we have our. So when we get to groups, though, it's going to be. Is group? Let me see. What is group exactly? Is it a academics? Don't really need to know, but it'd be nice to know. So, where are we? Call is loaded. Okay. So we're calling data classes. There, we're just passing data classes. So, it's a 2-level object then. So you have the main object. Actually, is data classes. That's data. So RPG managers. Yeah. Well, it's a JSON. It's a database files. Pretty sure it's a. So it's either going to be. It's likely an array of objects, probably. Go to my game JS. Or no, data. Go data classes. Okay, yeah, so it's an array of JSON objects. And you can see the first one's always null for some reason. So ID, X params, traits, bunch of different stuff. Then someone here's notes apparently. Notes, yeah. Alright. So let's build our data the same way. Oops. Alright, actually, yeah, this way. So, ID 0. Oh, man, data. Okay, I can do it that way. I wasn't sure. So, ID 0. Yeah. So ID 0, and then we're just gonna do, notes. And then the notes are gonna say, requirements. So is it NR or just N? No, it must be RN. In that order. Oh, N, I guess. Requirements and then all the conditions. So we'll just say class 1. Well, this wouldn't be 0, this would be 1. Oh, crap. Class 1 notes requirements. So there actually wouldn't be any. There wouldn't be a note here for this. Alright. ID 2 notes. Okay. So we're just going to throw it all in here for this first one. Ah, crap. And we'll just do that for this. And then we have to do the close requirements. Alright, so this is kind of like what we're building here. Sort of a structure. So group. So for each item in group, item starts on. We'll start. Well, yeah, we need to make a null. Just to follow that data structure. Alright, so object.notes is not nothing, and object.notes does not equal null. Split on R or N, so return carriage or new line. Then for each element of note data, do a switch on the string, which is what we're passing through here. Check for weapon form start, which is going to be, let's change this to alright. Then checking all this data, type rec data 1. So this one will be the item ID. Well, let's see. How do I want to handle this one? So I guess we'll just call it item ID, and then that. I'll probably do the same with these. Weapon and armor ID. Wep ID. And then armor ID. You could probably do it a better way, but it's just like, you know, using the ID twice doesn't really make sense. Okay. So now they're all there. Let me do one last thing here, which is to do a... so that's blocking off the for each. Then we're gonna do an alert. JSON.stringify. Can't type today. Then Rex. Alright, now we'll see if this actually will run. Well, it might be running. Holy crap. Alright, let me just undo these alerts here. Okay, here we go. So, class, right? Okay, good. So, that's the, that's this version of it. The split version of the notes. Then nothing happens after that. Because apparently something's not... I think something's crashing. So it's hitting that first one and then it's not doing anything. So... let's go... oh, wait, let me see. Can we do... Yes, we can. Okay. And I... Well... Yes and no. Let's run this. Oh, there it is. Temprex. There's a reference there. Temprex is not defined. Really. Oh. Jeez. Well, that would help. Alright, so here we go. So this is the Rex object once we're done with it. So we have type class, the class level. So I don't know why these are on this side. Ah, because it's ordered, that's why. Well, no, because then if that was the case, this would be over here. That's kind of weird. So type class, type gender, gender M, type item, item ID. Okay, so that's good. And then the class and the class ID and class thing there. Okay. Same thing there. Less options. Alright, so it kind of works. Now, let's take off this one. From there. Crap. And instead, we'll put it down here. So if object dot note equals this, or it doesn't equal, we want to go through this. If it does, though, we still want to use it. Actually, let's just select everything and knock it back. Else, well, let's push back an empty Rex for that. So the idea is that we want to have an object in here if there isn't any requirements. Let's take off all these alerts. There was another one, wasn't there? Switch, oh, there, yeah. And then, let's go ahead and create that, recreate that var class Rex JSON. Class Rex JSON object. Okay, we got some other issue here. So expected expression got keyword else. So it's probably because the tabbing isn't working too well on this. Really? No. This one. Oh. Okay, missing syntax. Oh, okay. Yeah, things are not, it's not properly moved around. So the tab we just didn't do a full tab or something. Okay. So that's there. And this includes that. And this. And then this goes here. Oh, okay. So this is our JSON thing. So class 1, so novice, no requirements. Class 2, we have a type of a class requirement. We have a gender requirement. We have an item requirement, a weapon requirement, and an armor requirement. And for 3, we have a class requirement and a gender requirement. Good. So that works the way that I wanted it to, the way that we need it to. So what I want to do though is I want to take this code and we're gonna fix it up a bit, but we need to have it for the change we made there. I could do it over here again. I could just redo it. It'd be easier just to redo it over here. It's so messed up over there. Alright, so Let's take that out. If object.note is not equal this, then the rest of this happens. It's actually up to the push, or the up to here. Then have an else. Then we just want to do a rex equals temp, or rex dot push temp rex. All right. So then I'll build it the way we wanted to build it. And that's all within this is not null. Temprex. Fix that as well. Alright, so now oh yeah, okay, I'll bring in the case though. Case data will be fine to bring in. So that's all set up correctly and whatnot. Crap, other one. So let's have to do some tabbing here. Alright. Okay, so now we have this. The first thing we have to do is we have to change how we're manipulating this item, this variable, the data class rex JSON, because now it is completely changed. Should we class rex JSON now instead of rec? Where are you there? Okay. We're also going to add some new commands. Crap. And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be adding some new commands to turn on the, well, no, we shouldn't need to. That's just for these features. Maybe we'll add an option that will say like a restriction. So like if you're using items or armor or something like that, and that's something not based on the class, and you want to say, okay, if they have this item, I want them only to be able to change to to this specific class. Turn on the item, or turn on the parameter, the option, whatever. Parameter, I guess is what it would be. If I don't want them to be restricted, though, I just wanted to open up that new class, then don't restrict it. So that would be something that we'll add over here. So first things first, we need to go through and look for, I think the first place that we used it is going to be the requirements window. Oh, we're not going to use it up here. This is all scene stuff. Okay, now we're in the window, actually. There we go. So, height, so, this is the actor select, so that's fine. Here we go, window class. Pretty sure we're not using it in here. Oh, no, we are. Class rex JSON, class rex JSON. Alright. So that's the max items. But we're not using this anywhere else. Here, I don't think. No. We're using that to get the number of items, and then we're just using that number of items to loop through the sysclass list. Right, class change to the status window, which probably won't have anything with that. Neither will the class information. Or wait. No, class information will, the actor classes won't. So this is going to be the first one where we're going to have to do some major stuff. Alright, so the first thing we're doing is we're going through the selected class. We're getting the the ID from the key for classworks.json, which is still valid because we still have the keys there. The key for this is the key for this first level of this object is still the class ID, so this is fine. Now this is where we get kind of really confusing because now instead of just having requirements, which we can leave there, we have different types of requirements. So, required classes, object key of rex equals type. So if, well, let's see, var rec classes gender and maybe there's like more than one item that you're using, so we have to check all this stuff. Var rec weapons, let's call it weps, faster that way. And var rec armor. Okay. So on the type, so then switch on type. So case class, case item, case weapon, case armor. So this is if there's nothing in it. We're just gonna break. Alright, this is gonna be for required classes, so we'll throw this in here. Now, holy crap. So, object.keys. The object will be rex type, because we want that particular object within it. Dot. Well, so here's the thing, though. Rex is no longer an object. It's a true. So actually, what we need to do is a for var type array in rex. So switch on, we'll call it T array, tr type. So if it's class, then objects object keys on T array, tr, dot for each function elements crap. So if element so what we're looking for here is so before this was just a list of the class ID and then the class level. So what we need now is the second element, actually, so we don't need to do this. Not on this one. Maybe not on any of them, actually. We just need to say tr. Actually, no, it's going to be rec classes dot push, because we can do that here with this one. It's an array, not an object. Tr No, we can't do that because it's gonna it's an object, not a. No, we have to do it the other way. All right, so and le does not equal type, so the key is not type. Push back tr le. So how we're building this now is for the classes. We have our, where are we here? We have our type, and then we have what was already being put in before, which is the required class ID and then the required class level. So what we need is, we don't need this, but we need this. So we want to make sure we don't pull anything that has type. We don't want to pull a type key. So making sure that we're not processing this code when we have the element equal type. All right. Oh yeah, we need to have one more gender. Actually, we're gonna need this open for the other ones too. So I need to make sure I am considering how these are being built when we're doing this. Like I said, it's going to be complicated, and I meant what I said. Because we have to handle this specific ways now. Alright, item. So, for item we have the type, and then we have item ID, which is the item ID. So, again, similar to this, just grab this. It's really not complicated, it's just kind of annoying because now we have to handle all this stuff in the conditions, which is going to be the more, that's going to be the more complicated bit. So tr elements not type. This one we can just say item ID. Actually, this we need to do. Can't really do it this way either. Alright, so we need a temp, like we did up there, we need a temp object to store this information that we can then push into the array. So temp object tr or le equals tr le, and then push back the temp object and then clear it. Because these should be like recs. They're an array of objects, not an array of values. So similar to here, temp object item ID equals tr item ID. So this should be able to handle if there's multiple items, multiple classes, what have you. Alright. Weapons are next. So weapons. Where are your weapons? So wep ID. Probably should make sure this is an actual string key and not some weird undefined variable key. Alright, and then ID. And that's all we need for that. And then actually reqweps. Okay. Oh, and almost forgot. So armor ID it's probably a better way to do it, but this is the way I'm going to do it. Armor ID lowercase. Well, if it's going to be lowercase, they should all be lowercase. Let's keep it actually being the same instead of all different. Actually, lowercase d on the ID is how it's done in the actual rest of the code. So, let's actually make sure we're following that a bit, I guess. ID. Actually, that one was lowercase. Huh. Okay. So back over to here, and then gender. So type, this is going to be gender, so gender, and then the type of gender. Alright. Pretty straightforward so far. Now. Now we don't need that anymore because it's not really looping through an object thing like this. Object function thing for each function. Now, so we have this considered. Now we have to think about the classes, or rather the characters themselves. Because the characters are going to have a note tag in them as well to define their gender. Now, one way we could do this is either to just process them at the beginning like we do over here, which is probably the best way to do it, and just do similar to this but have a different so we'll just say var actor genders or something. That's interesting. This one's actually not a... This is an array as well. Holy crap. Must be the rainy weather's killing my sinuses today or something. Finally got some rain after about 9 months of no rain or something. I have no clue. Doesn't rain much here in Arizona, which can be a bad thing. Anyway, so we have our our or actor genders thing here now. So we want to populate that. So we'll say so var group. Let's call this CLS group. So class group, and var car, var act group. Crap. Man. So data actors, right? I think it's data actors. It's not showing because I haven't used it yet. The auto complete is not really working or something. So we have this. So CLS group goes here, and then this dot load. Whoops. Actor tags. Actually, should be actor. Load actor tags. Act group. Don't know why I did it that way. Just I felt like it, I guess. So that's what I did, which is probably wrong. Anyway, so crap. Function. Oh no, yeah, function, right? Oh, data manager. Okay, it's data manager class. Data manager. Well, not class, but data manager. Custom function. Manager dot. It's not prototypes. Just dot the thing. So load act tags. Tags. And then we just called it a group, so let's call it group here. Function group. Alright, so same thing here. Let's copy this first bit or something. So crap. Group.length object group is group n temp requirements. That's fine. No, it's not fine. It's not really a requirement. Temp gender, I guess we'll call it. And then we don't need that. So if object node is null, is not null and is not empty. Alright, switch on the string. So, we will have this so that we can differentiate our class note tags from other class note tags, should they have them. Should you have a plugin for those installed. And then default. Oops, one more. Alright, and then break. So all we really need to do is we just need to say, okay, split the string. Well, gender value. Yeah, we'll need to split it. Where's my mouse at? Right. So gen data equals string split on the colon. Then temp gender gen data 0 equals gen data 1. All right. And then we called it actor genders. So we're going to set up the same way we did with the class recs. Object.id equals temp gender. So the actor ID and then the gender information. Now, this one. Else. Well, no, that's fine. It'll either have something in it or it won't. Well, temp gender goes through this for loop. Hits it once. Then, okay, because it gets reset every time. And, no. The temp gender needs to be reset at the beginning of the... Yeah, the beginning of the end of this note. This is our for each loop here. So this would actually be a... one of these deals. So at the end or beginning of this, we need to reset temp gender. Which really is what I should do with this, to be honest. We'll save a few lines of code. Oops. The other one, not enter, well, oh, too much. There. And to be honest, actually, you don't even need this here either, now that I think about it. And just do them both down here. And then only have the needed bits up here. So that shrinks it up a little bit. Quite considerably, actually. Removed, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Removed 10 lines of code by doing that. 80% reduction. Nice. Alright, so that's fine, that's done. And then we're doing this, and this is doing its thing. No, we can't do it that way. We need to have, crap. Var temp object. We can do it that way, it's just that we need to have this be a temp object. So every time through the loop that gets redone. Temp gender equals temp object. Okay. Reason for that is because if we're clearing out temp gender before it's used, then we're essentially assigning a null to this, so that wouldn't work. Alright, back down to here. Where were we? So this is the highlighting for if you can change to a class or not. This is gonna this is gonna be so complicated. So we have to, because we're gonna have to check each of these to see if they have a length or not. And if they do, then they have to be included in the conditional statements. If not, then we don't include them because they're not part of it. Blah. Still, this is gonna be really complicated, and it's gonna be really complicated. So nothing we do about that. So temp object. Right, okay, genders, so we're filling all these up now with all the stuff we need. We're breaking defaults. We got 2 breaks. Oh, because that's the default break. Alright, so now we're down to here, required levels. Blah. So, actually, no, that one should be fine, because we're building it the same way we were building it in the first place. So, that should be fine. That shouldn't have to change. A class, so that's actor classes, okay. Required levels, required classes. Now, didn't I create something down here? Yeah, I did. So what if we could try and, let's see, so... Well, it is and isn't the same. This is the check on whether you can or not. And it's kind of similar. No, actually, this is the exact same code, okay. It's just that there's this extra stuff here to check for various things. So how can we, because if I could take all this code and meld it down there and not have to deal with it up here, that would be awesome. So this is just for, the thing is with this is that this is just for displaying the coloring on the class information window. No, that isn't even what this is for. The class... No, yeah, we are calling that. Player class can change class here for that. So, this is for displaying the requirements themselves. So... so if it's true, so no, yeah, we should be able to do it somehow into there. So this all happens after we get down to the select parts. So this stuff doesn't matter. It's after this. So I think everything up to here. Rec classes. Yeah. Crap. Alright, so pull this in. Okay, so we have this here. Okay, that's still the same, that's still the same, that's still the same. Now, right, so first things first. We need to check if Rex is empty. Because if requirements is empty, then they can change to it no matter what. So if rex.length equals 0, or does not equal 0, we'll do that first. Then all this stuff happens. Don't want this to happen if it's not. We don't even need to do the checks, actually. So object key classes, class JSON for each class ID. Alright, so it's not to this, but it's to this. Okay, so the one below this closes this off. Yeah, this one. So this. There. Okay. Else, B actor can change equals true. So we're just going to short circuit all that and say, okay, they can change, because this class has no requirements, so we don't need to change to anything. So what I'm doing with this is a thing I created. I don't know if I did this on the last live stream or not, but I took all this code from the two places it was being used and moved it down here and turned it into a Boolean return, so that we just do the checking here. And actually, this can also work for the problem with this is that this is dealing with every requirement, not just one requirement. That's handling one requirement. And this is really complicated as it is. We don't need to be adding anything else, any other complication in here. So this is for checking if the player can change the class. We'll have to redo this. So I guess what we'll have to do is we'll have to have so I'm just wondering how we can do this. Crap. I'm just wondering if we can, like, somehow return something, then split it somehow so that we can fill these and move this stuff, all this out of here, into another function so we don't have to repeat it. Because we're going to have this one, and we're going to have one that says function check requirement. And for this one, well, I mean, to be honest, everything until well, no, not everything. This is not going to be the same. This will be the same, and this won't be the same. So I think that's the same as this bit. So yeah, that's fine. We'll just build it based off of this. So we'll send this through as well, in case we should have to do that. I think. Well, let's see. What do we actually need up here? So we're passing through. Or let's see what's right. We're using. Yeah. Okay. So selected classes and actor classes. So yeah, we're doing that exact same thing. It's just that the rest of this is different. So let's just pull this down. So what is? Let me see. What are? So this first part is for. I'm trying to remember. I should have labeled both these parts before. Did I do that down here? Of course not. So, um, uh, all right, let's see if we can figure this out. So this is for the main part, and this is if acquire draw. Let's draw. So true or false? So false. So we're doing this as red. So if okay, so this is if we're already that one. So return classes equals act class. Acquired classes ID equals actor class keys. Actor class keys is what? Is the actor classes array keys. Or, well, not array, it's an object array or whatever. Map, we'll call it. So that's the best thing I can use as an analogy to it. The map keys for that. So we're saying if the actors... So if the actor has the... Okay, so if the actor has been that class, we're not displaying it? That doesn't make any sense. If the actor hasn't been that class, we are drawing it as a red. Okay, maybe I'm missing something here. It seems like looks like we're doubling up or something. So if so we're looping through actor class keys and required classes. If actor class keys is equal to required class key, if actor class value, so the level, is larger than or equal to the required level, then draw it as a green item. If it's not, draw it as a red item. Now, what is this for, though? So we're doing the same thing, looping through the same classes and the keys, class keys. And then we are checking to see if okay, so if actor class key equals and I2 is not 0. Okay, so it's not the last one. So if this is okay, no, minus 1 break. So if it's already there, what? So if the actor, okay, so this is if this only runs if the actor class gotcha. Okay, so print existing actor class list items. Print non-existent. Print items that are not in actor class list. Okay, so the first one is doing it if it's showing the information if you already have the class, and the second one is showing it's printing the information if it's not in the actor class. So we have to say, okay, if the actor has never been this class, then we need to display it as a false. If they have been this class and their required level is lower, or the level on that class is lower than the required level, display it as a false, as a red item. If not, then if it is meeting that requirement, then a green item. That's what that's for. Okay, that makes more sense. I should have put this in there before, but I didn't. Okay, so now I don't think we'll need this. We just need to have a true or a false thrown back in here so that we can then do this. So that means that this is going to go from all this down to like just a else if statement, basically. So we'll say, we'll create a boolean here. So bool B is red item equals false. So either red item or it's not. So B is red item equals check requirement. True. So what we have to do is we have to check each requirement individually. So we could then do this. So let's say that instead of having these be internal, we could make these external. So these could be a global variable. We can build this once, make a function for this bit. Run it only once, not every time we need to, so that we don't keep having to do this. And well, the problem with that is that this is based off of each individual thing here. At the same time, though, we could then put it in another function, and when we have to do this on the other one, we only have to call this code once. Well, not once, but it only has to be written once instead of twice, which is what we're planning to do anyway. But these variables can be global, and then we could use them instead of like passing back through an object that we then split and then set those arrays to it. We set them, and then we can use them in the next one to do that. So we're basically cutting down a little bit of code. Problem with this, we have to be careful about it because we have to make sure we're resetting them every time we go through the loop. Otherwise, they'll so actually we want this here still. We just don't want to say that they're vars. Alright, I'm going to throw these up here at top. Hopefully these don't conflict with anything. I don't think they will. So these are global plugin variables, so they'll do fine right there. Back down here. Okay. So bool is red item, check requirement. So we'll need to in check requirement, we'll have a loop that loops through the information. So we need to pass through the selected class, and the actor classes. This does not have an actor. It says actor classes. Be nice if we just had the actor, but I guess we could do it with just actor classes. So this dot did class, this dot act classes. That won't really work either, though, because this is so annoying trying to figure this stuff out. What if we passed through this? So we're passing through the instance, or whatever this refers to, or whatever. Well, this is a reference back to the window class information, but whatever that actually is, if it's a pointer or reference or some sort of other weird thing in JavaScript, pass that through and use that specifically. So if we just do this, then we can just use this inside of that So we just say this is no longer a bool return. And in fact, well, we do say it, well, it is and isn't. Crap. Because we actually would take this as part of this. All of this will come with me to check requirement. So we'll say class information window, so class info window. Instead of this, we'll use that. Alright, now, so we have check requirement. Well, what is the... So this is the refresh. You do have a draw rex and draw require item. So let's call this not check requirement. Let's call this process requirements. Just don't need that. Alright, and this we're gonna have to change as well. So let's make the, let's see, type. Instead of class name, we'll say rec name and rec value. So so var text, so class name. So if type class. So our name, our val, rec val. Else if type var text equals well, I guess we would say type plus rec val. So it needs to be outside of this now. Text equals type. So should we show an item requirement? Yes. String rec val, because that'll be an ID. So, oh, actually, It will be a name. We'll pass through the name, the string name of that item, so not the ID. Else if type equals weapon. Ah, crap. Plus that. Plus. All right. Then if the requirement is met, then fail. Or if it isn't met, then fail condition color. If it is, pass condition color. And draw it all. Okay. So, requirements, that's fine. Smack down here, it's going to be process requirements. Got a issue somewhere with that. Well, we got a couple issues with that. We'll have to figure out. Check requirement. It's going to be process requirements. Alright. Now, let's take a look at this. So, reset color, draw Rex. That's fine. So now, looping through class JSON, which is where this starts at. Problem is that this stuff isn't going to be used up here, so we can't use that. So the first place we can do any kind of reduction in code for this would be here. Rex. We don't use Rex anywhere else, do we? Yeah, we do. No rec classes. Rec classes. No, we don't. So we don't need to have it be part of this. It's part of this stuff here. So up to here. So rec levels, require class levels. You could also do both of these globally. Actually, no. I didn't want both of them. We're going to take the var off. I'll move them up back where they were with the other stuff in that loop there. But first, we got to put these up here. Let's see. Where are they? There we go. Okay. The reason for that is they're used in multiple places, so it's easier to just do this. So what we can do is then take all this code from the top of this, from this down to the for loop, and then we can shift it over into another function. So we don't have to recall all this code. Whoops, didn't want to do that. Really? How come that's over 1 when it shouldn't be? Oh, if Rex length. I see. Because, yeah, okay. So, actually, Rex has to be there. That's fine, we can leave it there, and then leave this there, and then this part. Can come out. Alright, so then, function, fill, rec, fill rec varies, I guess we'll call it. Okay, pull this down. So what all do we need? So TRA and Rex. So we need to pass through Rex. No, yeah, we'll leave these in here. Temp object. For each function, required classes, which are building, it's part of this. A class. Okay, this we can, well, yeah, we gotta pass it through then. A class. Alright, so fill fares, and we pass through Rex and a CLS. Yes. Alright, and that fills that up. However, if we then get to one that doesn't have any requirements, this won't work here. Because we need to make sure this is always emptied. Actually, that should be this. So what we need to do is we need to actually do these up here. So that if at any point this gets the else gets short circuited by something up here, we're emptying out these so that they don't pollute the next set of things. So now we're going through this, and then we're not resetting them because it only happens once, doesn't happen again, that code. And that stuff is there, and then... But I mean, it shouldn't matter because then it handles it here, too. But, again, I like to err on the side of caution. Ah, screw it. Let's just put them back down here, and then if it causes problems, we can change them back. Need to fix that. Because it shouldn't be a case where that would ever happen because we'll always be calling this. This will always get reset. And if requirements isn't filled, then we're not using the stuff anyway. So it's not like we need to have. Yeah, it needs to be. It'll always be. These will always be reset when we need them to be reset. Let's put it that way. So fill rec vars. Need to do the same thing here and get rid of these. So fill rec vars. Just need to pass through the right. Okay, we actually don't have that there anymore. Deleted it already. Let's just grab this real quick. Okay. Yeah, because we don't want to do that processing if there's nothing in it. So, fill rec vars rex and a CLSS. I don't need any of that. Ah, crap. Actually, we need to go over one more. Oh, there it is. So Rex length. Alright, that's fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's fine. So we just need to. Well, we're pushing it in though. So if over. Crap. There. Well, we still have like an extra thing here. So that's for that. Yeah. Okay, we are missing one. Right there. So alright, so we're calling this, or filling up these lists to be used. We're processing the lists. What I'm going to do is I just want to throw this into here. The problem is that for each one of these, we have to do this. So this part might not be. Let's see. For that can be done. If we move this stuff out, though, this has to go with it because we need to be able to. So yeah, it's not really compatible, these two code bases, because this one is processing just one. So if whatever, well, it's not just one, but we're processing stuff. If we're getting different things, we're doing different stuff with the code. So like we're doing a break here because we don't want to continue with that. We're doing breaks up here. No, yeah, actually, yes, we are actually doing breaks. What we're doing with the stuff is different. You could really make it a mess and pass through this, pass through these. Well, actually, we don't need those. We just need the global stuff for this. I pass through that and a bool and say, okay, if the bool is true, then do this stuff. If not, do this other stuff. I mean, it's plausible you could do that. Problem is, it gets really kind of messy if you do it that way. At the same time, if I want to combine these two similar pieces of code here, which do basically the same thing, just they operate on the results differently, we need to do that messiness. I mean, it kind of breaks encapsulation a bit too, because, well, maybe not. I'm not really sure what the standards would be around what I would be doing with this would be in terms of like what I'd be breaking or violating or something. I'd be violating something though. I know that for sure. Let's be violating some sort of rule somewhere. At the same time, though, I mean, they're almost except for the inner bits here, the looping is exactly the same. The conditions are the same. The things they're using to loop through are the same. Even the checking of the different stages are the same even. And we'd be able to take, how many lines is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 lines of code down to, or actually not 19, 28 lines of code down to 19. Actually, no, it's more than that because there's more lines here than that. So we'll call it like 30, 45, 46 lines of code down to 19. And it's a pretty good reduction. But is the extra complexity worth it? I'm going to say yes because I like to make things overly complex when they don't need to be. So what we'll need to do is make another function. Function check requirements. Pass through the so CLS I wind, so make sure we're not doing weird things with that. We need to pass through bool. B is info window. Now, so we just need to call it. Is all we have to do, really. Oops. Got one too many curly braces there. All right. So just call it, and it's basically the same for the structure of it, so we don't have to do any changes there. The changes are in when we get down to here. So if not this. Of course, this may not even work. Well, let's see. Else, oops. Else do this other code. Same thing here. Okay, and then the other code is this code. So if the required class is equal to the class, you can actually probably shrink it down even more because this is part of the, let's grab this real quick. So actually let's do that. I'm just going to throw this below it for a second. Let's actually shift this because it should go in here. So these won't be one-liners anymore, but that's fine. Well, technically it will be. Still a one-liner. No, you can't do it that way. It does have to go this way because blah. Because we have to say this, this line of code here, this check, and then else for if it's not the info window. So it has to go this way. Okay. I guess I'm fine with that. Unless I can figure out a way to do it without needing to do that. So if... So we'd either do that, or we'd have to do it this way. So this is inside of here. Else. Then the code. Then else. So either way, we're going to be having some extra code here. So if it's true, else if it's not true. And then we'll do this a third time. Okay, so that's a 4. So if we're matching it up, so if it equals it, and if not, so actually this should go inside of here. Since we don't need that one. Alright, so check the logic here. So looping through these, if the actor class key is equal to the required classes key, if the level for that class in the actor class list is less than, is greater than or equal to the required level in the required classes list, then if is not binfo, or if it's not info window, can change as true, because then that means it's the either the class list, the main class list on the left, or it's the command window. If it is that though, then that means we're dealing with the class info window, the requirements window, and we can do that because we're supposed to be drawing out the item, so it'll be true. If this is false, though, else then we do the same check, return or set that as false, or we set this as we call this. B actor can change. Which is what we're using up here. So if we made this a global var, we wouldn't need to return it. And we're making a lot of stuff global, but we have to. Well, we don't have to, but it makes things so much easier to handle if we do it this way. Do the stuff this way. So if we're making that global, we don't have to return it, first of all, up here. We don't have to redefine it here. Because we already know what it's going to be. So we don't have to, where are we? Where is it? Don't have to say this, we just call it, and it'll change it automatically. That way we don't have any kind of, well, it technically, yes and no. JavaScript isn't really picky about whether you're returning something on something that should return something, function that should return something. Most other, I don't want to say proper languages, most other mature languages does say if you're supposed to be returning something with a function, it should return it in all execution paths. Otherwise, it throws an error. That doesn't really happen with JavaScript because they don't have that requirement or that restriction for whatever reason. Do not get why they don't have it, but they don't. So you can make a function that returns something on some occasions and it doesn't return something on another occasion. Instead, I'll just make it so it doesn't return anything. We're just setting a global variable to a value that's then used elsewhere. So that way we don't have to return anything with this, so nothing gets broken in my mind with this. And then for this one, same difference. It's always break on this because we don't want to do anything with it if it is the last one. And where's our code for that last bit? Process requirements. So break on that, then we're checking if I2 is not 0, I2 is equal to the key's length minus 1. So if we're at the end of it. So if we've gone through this entire list and haven't found it yet, then we want to display it as a, gotcha, okay, so then down here, it's doing the same thing. Just need to add some extra code in. To the else condition on that. So if it does match, break. If it matches anytime before the last, break. If it's at the last, it doesn't match, then we print it. So if we're not at the last but we match it, we're breaking. If we're at the last one and it's matching, and is not binfo window, we are breaking. Okay, so we should flip this around like we did before. Actually, no. Only on this one. So just grab this out of here. We don't need that. So, because the logic will happen for both of these. This logic will happen for both of them, so we don't have to handle it if it's different. So the only thing that's different is this. So this is where we need to do our thing, our change here. So if else, if it is, then do this stuff. Oops. Okay, and we need to grab this, so that's different. Okay. Data classes, required classes. Names, rec levels, that's fine. X, Y, false. Okay, so now we're handling all that. So rex will var for loop. So really we just need to call, okay, so we call process, so this is process requirements. We call fill rec vars, and then we need to call check requirements. And for check requirements, we need to pass through the pass through this and true. And down here we need to pass through a null and false. And now that should behave the same way. Hopefully. All the various information is the same. All the code's the same. The question is, will it actually process the same way? That's the hopefully part of it. So this was nice. Like I said, this is like down to one line of code here. This is down to one line of code, and we've merged them down here. What is this? 66 to 40, not quite 40. Or no, 48 lines of code for that total. Actually, there's some fixing we could do here a little bit. So if this, okay, this needs to go over, and that fixed. Okay, that was the thing that was causing that, I guess, among other things. So is there any other way we can shorten this up a little bit? I know there is, like, the proper formatting for else is actually this. But I'm waiting until they actually have the code done and working, so I don't, because it's a little bit easier to read this way than if you have it like this. So I prefer to leave it like this till I'm done with the code being correct, till I'm done writing the code. That way we don't have to deal with too much hard to read stuff. So I don't know, I mean, sometimes I do a space, sometimes I don't, with the curly braces and the else's and the ifs. I'm not doing it actually at the end of these if statements, so I won't do it at the end of the else's either. Right, so let's see. I guess the last thing to do is just to check and see if it actually still works or not. I have no illusions that this is probably not going to work, but we'll just have to see what happens. Let's go ahead and throw in some class actor tags here. So requirements, gender, male, well, female. Dorothy. Let's I'll stick a class. Well, I have the dancer class requirement, so I won't have an item requirement yet. We'll work on that later. But so we're gonna say class 110 and then gender female. Apply. Okay. Alright, need to add myself in here. Show text, actor 1. So, and so I found an interesting way to actually kind of manipulate this, so we don't have to like keep on talking to an NPC to get this to happen. What we just need to do is, well, first of all, let's go ahead and change the party members. I'm going to add Kyrith. Actually, we should also initialize. Whoops. And we'll also then copy this. Add Dorothy. Initialize. Now, Dorothy initializes to a different class just because of how it's where she appears in the game so far. What I need to do now is we need to change Kyrith's level to 20. Well, 19, so be level 1, so don't show level up. And then we need to change Kyrith's class. Or no, we'll leave it there. We do, though, need to add levels to Felto. Cancel. Change level Felto. Also to 20. Now, Dorothy starts as a fighter, so I need to change her class to a novice. And then I need to change her level to a... I'll change it to 20 as well, but we don't really need to. And we'll leave her as a novice. And then I'll turn off the gold. And also item cost. Turn both of those off. I believe those are the correct commands. Class changer, item, okay, one word. Item changer, class changer, and one word. Gold cost. I haven't used this at all in the game yet, so these things, that is. Alright, so we got that. Now, so it won't cost anything to change, but we'll solve the requirements. Alright, apply. Okay, save this, and we shall check this out. So, any issues? Of course we have issues. So, 275, unexpected identifier. $275. Temp gender equals temp objects. So temp gender temp object, yeah. Oh. That's why. Alright, so now we got one on 1321. Bool. Okay, there. That's right. And unexpected token else on 1381. All these problems everywhere. I was wondering if we'd have a lot of issues. So on 16, that's the last one. So what's it say? Unexpected token. Blah. So we got another problem with some of these somewhere. Yeah, there's one extra curly brace here. Alright, so this thing closes that off. This one closes this off. That off. This one does that. That one does that. This one does this. This one does that. This closes that. This closes that. gotta be down here. Yeah, it's down here somewhere. Oh, actually, it's an we have one too many. That's why we're tabbed over too far. Okay, so class rec JSON. Oh yeah, I forgot all about changing that over to what it should be. It's class recs JSON now. It's there. Where else? So 19. No, that's amount 238. Really, the very first thing we're doing, I didn't change that. Oh, this one. Duh. Where else haven't we fixed it? Let's just do this. That was the last one. Alright. So, okay, no more problems. Let's put it this way. No more syntax issues. Problems is a different story. Alright. I probably should have done some check. We're gonna redo. Not redo, but we're gonna load this back up so I can do some checking on the, So, function struct, blah, 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 blah. Put a break there so I can check the value of these. Alright, we got 11 genders, which is interesting. So, okay, it's for every, okay, so we're actually doing it for every class. Every actor, I should say. That's fine. Okay, so if the gender is null, so for some reason the gender isn't set up. We need to handle that. Okay, well we actually kind of do handle that here, sort of. Okay, we haven't done the checking stuff yet. I just want to see if the actual. Okay, so that doesn't matter right now. I want to make sure the actual functionality still works though with what we have here. So that's fine for now. Gonna remove that. All right. There's that. Still haven't figured out that issue yet. So novice level 20. Oh wow, really? Oh, Rex JSON. a CSS. Should be a class, a CLSS. So we got some other issues that were not picked up. To be honest, that should have thrown an error because it doesn't exist. It's undefined. Well, I guess it did throw an error because it did right there, but this is why JavaScript needs a freaking compiler. It's to pick up this kind of stuff without having to run it to find it. Alright, so okay. So the requirement stuff isn't working now. Which I figured would be broken by this, so we gotta figure out why. So let's go down here. Right, so no, we don't need to go on that, I guess, unless it's not falling into there. Okay, so probably should check all of these as well. Alright, so really, the classes one is the only one I'm worried about, but I'm going to check these other ones and see if our code's working right or not. Oops. There. Okay. Alright, so, classes is empty. That's interesting. So tr and rex. So what's rex then? What's it? We got 3 in here. 3 objects. Okay. So alerts, or rather. JSON.stringify tr. Crap. Typing it over here again. So that's line 1401. There. Okay, I'll figure out what's happening in this. Yeah, so there's nothing in the required classes or alt keys or whatever, so it's not processing. So it's not even, yeah, so it's 4 tr and rex. Java script for in loop. Let me use the for in function. Not variable and objects. So for var and rex. Rex has 3. It's not even falling into this now. Alright, knock this off again. Rex has three objects. Okay. So we're in here now. Oh. Okay, that was stupid. I have to restart it for the code to show up. Duh. Zero, that's interesting. Okay, so requirements is the okay, we need to go back to where we're actually populating requirements then. Something is not right with that. Or maybe I've overlooked something of how it's being filled. It's hard to find. It's like one line of code or something. Alright, so class Rex JSON. Alright, so one and then an array of objects. So we're taking this value, the key. So we're getting the keys from class Rex JSON. Then we're saying, okay, for class Rex JSON ID, class ID, the key, we want to pull the value of that out into Rex. Now, when we do that, what we're getting in Rex is a 1. Because, yeah, okay, I know why now. Because all of our other classes are like this, so it's not populating those correctly. Crap, okay. Or rather, just the first word. That is why. And actually, if we just do this, we should be able to handle that now without having to have requirements in it. I don't know why I didn't think of this, having to do everything else to make this work. Oh, well, one of those days. Shouldn't take too long though, we're just adding class to the front of everything. And that's why I can do it automatically somehow. Wouldn't necessarily be so bad if I didn't have so many bloody classes. Should probably be making these changes in the demo. So I'd have less to actually work on. In terms of like this kind of stuff. Actually, that's probably a good idea. Although, it's too late now, I've already done a whole bunch of work in here with this, so I'm not going to switch over to there. Next plugin idea, I'll just do it in the demo instead of in my actual game. planning on doing a ton of recording tonight. I'm actually gonna try and finish Recitaire and Mountain Blade tonight if possible. It's not gonna happen, but I'm gonna try and do at least 5 hours of both. Maybe not 5, maybe 4. 5 is a little excessive. If I was doing an all-nighter, I'd try for 5 of each. Not so, I'm not going to. Alright, so getting almost close to the end. A few more to go. So what happens when you try to run new code on old settings? Things just go boom. Very badly do they go boom. That was weird. Where's my volume dropped? Alright, so that's fine. Now hoping is that I don't have to, I can just do this and crap. Okay, there. Finally. Okay, this looks a little more promising now. Okay, so 3. Okay, because that's warrior, so... Well, 3 though. Shouldn't be 3. So 0, 1 shouldn't be 2. Just so I can see the actual values of these. Without having to do some weird stuff. Alright, so JSON.stringify class rex JSON really empty. So null, we have the type class and then null. Why are we generating nulls though? I think there's 2 of them that are actually populating stuff that they shouldn't be. So we're coming down through here. Split on that. We need to make a check to make sure that there's no check on null data. Well, it shouldn't need to be there, so if else. Okay, no, here we go. This is so we're checking the notes. Tag data, if object, node object is null. So it's not null, but it's empty. We're pushing a pushing an empty object. So that's fine. But how does that translate into getting... Yeah, these two here. Should only happen once. Okay, so if it's not blank, do this. If it is blank, do this. So we're pushing temp rex into rex. And then for the object ID, we're equaling it to rex. So somehow rex is getting filled twice. With nulls. So this is a switch, which is being processed on this. So that's not from that. I don't see how. So, data, temp rex, let's push on rex. I think we need to put a break on that. So you can see exactly what's going on with rex. Let's get rid of that. That's just really freaking annoying. 14 something. Or 10, 14, no, 14, 10, 13, 40. I have no clue what this anymore. Here, let's 14, 02. Still have to go through all these alerts, but nothing I can really do with that. Alright, there we go. So. Fresh. Alright, so Rex. Rex is 2, yeah. Should only be 1, because we're on object ID 1. So plus object ID 1, yeah. Alright, so object dot note is blank. Return carriage. Okay, so it's a return carriage. So it's not necessarily blank. That's how. No, well, damn. So we have a return carriage. We're splitting on the return carriage. So does that mean we have 2? And then it's pushing 2 empties. That's why. Crap. Okay. If is not null and in the wrong spot. So it's not blank, and then object.note Jove. Yes, by Jove. Note does not equal R. And we'll throw an N just for good measure because who knows. Okay. Okay, it's paused on the debugger, but why down here? That was weird. Okay. So, object ID is 1. Rex array is 1 now. Okay. Rex array, away. Emma Fudd. Or what's his name? From Analyze This. Ends up he takes those pills and then drinks a bunch and starts slurring his words and all that kind of stuff. Bill Crystal. So, why did we have return carriages? Oh, it's a note. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so continue. Now I want to. Well, see, this still shows 2 of them. Okay, so we got 1 there. That's fine. But on 2, we have 2. Why? Okay, so we are checking on. So class, so if required data is 0, is gender, no. Else if it's item, no. Weapon, no. Armor, no. Else if class. If class, Temprex type is the class ID. No, it's type. Class type is a type. And then the second element is the class ID and the class level. So we have this part, but then we have 2 extra blanks. 2 extra nulls. Why? Where the hell are those coming from? So we're going through each of these. Well, no, that's what we want to do. Oh. It's what we want to do, just not where we want to do it. Crap. We want to take this, and we want to move it into the default case, not in the loop. That's why we got all this for. So every time we're looping through, we're throwing a null in there, and that's not what we want to do. We only want to push something into there if it's if we're in the default. That's why. Okay, continue. Stop that. Let's turn it back on and start again. All right. So now, there we go. That's why. Yeah. All right. So that's being populated right. Now for this, it'd be nice if we had something we could. Oh, we do. Object ID. I wonder if this will actually work. Aha, it does. Cool. Alright, so we can see all the stuff as it's coming down. So this is fine. Fine, yeah, so we're getting the proper stuff now. My question is going to be for Dancer. Boom, here we go. We have another null, though. Why? So why do we have another null? Because we have a return at the end of requirements. But we fixed that. That shouldn't be an issue. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's, yeah, it's still following the default because return carriage isn't a case. So that's interesting. I didn't think about that. If you put a return at the end of the class list thing for that. Yeah, so it should not be one there. So if you hit apply but then hit cancel, does it still okay it? Apparently so. That's kind of interesting. But I guess that makes sense, as that's how it probably should work. Alright, so now that we've got all that sorted out, I'm going to get rid of this. And guess we can get rid of, whoa. And get rid of this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And we can keep what we have here. So turn this off, restart. Turn them back on. And we'll try and see if I actually have the Rex populating correctly this time. Okay, need to turn those alerts off. Alright. So now we have Rex has 1. It's good. JSON.stringify. So 0. That's kind of interesting. So it's all 0 so far. Again, that doesn't make much sense. Draw item, process requirements. Fill rec vars, process requirements, var rex. So where's this getting called from? That's not there. Oh no, this is being called from up here, that's why. Or is it? So this is the class information window. No, we went the class list window. Class list. Draw items. So, okay, we're calling CanPlayer change classes, passing through the sysclass list and the actor. So here. So let's see what we get. Class, Rex, JSON, or well, stringify actually first. JSON.stringify. Fine, whatever that was. Class Rex, JSON at CLS ID. So that's that. And so Rex should be this. So array 2 objects. Alright, that's right. So we're going to fill rec vars, which is down here. So requirements in A class. Okay, what is at this point? 0 and 20. Okay, so 0 is the 0 object and 20 is 20. Okay. 20 is the level for the nose. So that's got values. Because, okay, these are objects. It's an, so, interesting. So you can't, even though it's an array, it has objects in it, we can't process them like this. So in other words, you can't go through an array of objects and pull the object out itself. That's kind of messed up. So let me see. Really though, Rex. So Rex 1. Then type. No, you can do that. Well, at least you can get it that way. Plus JSON.stringify tr. And it comes out as 0 for some reason. So do you have to do a regular for loop maybe? Then Rex. I think we have to do a regular for loop, not a for in. I wasn't too sure about it, but I was hoping that I wouldn't have to do that. Oh well. What is that? 03. Oh, it's 1402. First starts out. So for there, I1 equals 0. I1 is less than rex.length. It's plus. Rex I1. So we can do it that way. Slight change, no big deal. Well, let's make sure we save it first. Alright. So when you make changes like this, it's always fun to go through and see like how things have changed and what you broke. And I was just being super sarcastic, but it's a reality of programming. Change something drastically, and even if you just basically move code around like I've done, though I didn't really move code around, I didn't do logic, but even if you move code around, you have a chance of breaking something because you forgot to pass something or you didn't think about where it was being called from or what have you. All kinds of reasons for why it would break. So instead of stringifying this, we're going to stringify tr. Oops. Spell tr right. Maybe it'll work. Continue. Okay, boom. There we go. So now when we... Okay, so let's just put this here. Good, yeah, it's going through that now. Alright, so here, where, tr, boom. Okay, so that seems to be working at least there now. So type name is undefined. Really, what line? Class changer 1530. Because we are getting acquired classes, name is undefined property. So what is the value of... So apparently we're calling some negative thing here. Well, I need to take a break and let my brain rest for a little bit because it's getting kind of annoying. So I'll stop the stream for a while and I'll come back. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Because I do want to do a bunch of recording tonight. So we'll see what happens. So, but we'll make this maybe a parted series of getting this to work with all the functionality we wanted to work with. But I'm pretty sure that what we're passing through here, or rather what the value of this is probably a 0 or a null or something, and that's why this is not working, because there's no data classes element that has that value. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is, because it's name of undefined, so whatever this is trying to find is undefined. It's the most reasonable possibility. But I'll be back later maybe, and if not, then probably tomorrow or Tuesday, and we will try and finish this.